Hello everyone, today I'm going to be recapping James Tynion's current Batman run because Joker War is about to happen starting with Batman issue 94, so I know a lot of people are going to be jumping on with that and not everyone has read what's currently, what just happened in his Batman run, so I figure it'd be a good time to catch people up on what's been going on with Batman because it's been really cool. I've been digging it for the most part. I've really enjoyed what Tynion's been doing. I've much preferred what King was doing at the end of his Batman run. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is going to be recapping issues 86 through 93. So yeah, let's get into it. Issue 86 opens up with Bruce out on patrol trying to stop some assassins that he got a tip about on the dark web. Selina, meanwhile, we see is at a Wayne fundraiser. Bruce is trying to raise money to rebuild Gotham. This is a big part of the story, is Bruce is trying to sort of create Gotham in a better image now, trying to tear down some of the old parts of Gotham and rebuild it better and newer, and give the people of Gotham a reason to sort of live there and try to help Gotham any way he can. And Bruce and Selina, by the way, are now kind of ish married. At the end of Tom King's Batman run, they sort of got like unofficially married, so that's where they're at now. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Anyways, we see that Selina at the fundraiser, she catches someone trying to hack into the Wayne Enterprises system to replace Bruce's design for the city with his own. The guy kind of like self-destructs and his body gets taken over by someone else who has a message for Selina. The person says, "Don't pretend you don't remember me. It always started with the 5 killers coming to town. That was always step 1. The first part of the perfect crime. That's what you called it." And that's it for that part. It was a little weird. We don't really know what's going on, but during all this, Bruce has been taking down 5 assassins, those assassins being Deathstroke, Cheshire, Merlin, and then 2 new guys that were created for the story called Gunsmith and Mr. Teeth. We get a moment where Bruce tells Alfred to send a signal to the GCPD after he takes down these assassins so they can get 5 cells set up for the assassins. Now, if you've been keeping up with Batman comics with Tom King's run, you'll remember that towards the end of his run, he killed Alfred. So when he tells Alfred to set up cells for these guys, to contact GCPD, Lucius answers Bruce, and they have a nice moment. It's a little sad, and Lucius kind of like, I'm sorry, Alfred's not here, obviously. And Bruce said it's been a long night. And that's pretty much all of issue 86. In issue 87, it opens up with Riddler looking all deformed and paranoid as he talks to Penguin. I have no clue why Riddler looks like this. The last thing I remember from Riddler was during his Year of the Villain one-shot where he sort of gave up crime, but he wasn't all deformed, so I don't know if something happened in between there and now to make him all deformed looking. Like, he looks like his body's sort of shaped like a question mark, so it's kind of weird. Anyways, he's talking to Penguin. Riddler talks about how the designer is coming and he's scared. Penguin seems much more confident that he can take on the designer as he kills his entire inner circle to make sure that no one was working for the designer. So we see that this designer guy is definitely someone to be feared if Penguin feels like it's a necessary risk to kill his entire inner circle, as long as that keeps him safe from the designer. We see the 5 assassins Batman defeated in the prior issue get put into a new prison called the Black Block. It's part of the Gotham rebuild that Wayne Enterprises is doing. It's a small prison with only 9 cells that are meant for the highest priority supervillains. It's supposed to be impossible to escape, even for Batman. Batman interrogates Slade there, but then realizes that Cheshire is a body double, so he leaves to go find her. Lucius deduces that Cheshire is coming to kill him, since Lucius is the CEO of Wayne Enterprises. Batman gets to her as she's on her way to kill Lucius. They have a small fight, and then she gets hit by a semi-truck. And it's like, damn. Like, she just gets hit straight on by a semi-truck, and it looks like she's dead. But anyways, as she sits there looking like a corpse, she tells Batman that he's part of a game, and he doesn't even know all the players yet. Back at the Black Block, the assassins have escaped their cells and are making their way out of the prison when all of a sudden some doors won't open, and then Penguin starts talking over the intercom, telling the assassins and their employer that they have stolen his plans and he won't let them out. In issue 88, we see Catwoman digging up a grave while talking to Riddler over an intercom. Catwoman asks if what is going on is real or a trick. She says that this was supposed to be over years ago, that they took care of this problem and buried it in Potter's Field, where she's at right now, which is assuming what she's actually digging up, whatever they took care of. Riddler doesn't really give his opinion on whether this is real or not, but he does tell her that Penguin believes it is and that he thinks the Joker is playing a role in all of this. Catwoman finally finishes digging up that grave, and in the casket appears to be Joker's dead body, or a dead body dressed up like Joker. Riddler is teasing Catwoman the whole time about how she's keeping all this a secret from Batman, because, you know, everyone in the community knows that, oh, Batman and Catwoman are a thing, even more so than they ever were before. So the fact that she's keeping this a big secret from Batman, he's using that to sort of hang over her head and get into her. Riddler also talks about how everyone involved with this plot is probably going to die. After Riddler hangs up, the Joker corpse starts talking, just like the guy who sort of self-destructed at Wayne Enterprises in issue 86. Selina says to him, "You're dead, this is some kind of trick," to which he says, "Death was boring, dear. It was a good rest for a while, but one misses the thrill of the chase. You took me down before I could set my masterpiece in motion. Perfect crime that'll make me live forever, and now it's time for you to pay for your transgression." Catwoman gets knocked out by some guys that show up, and then they start burying her alive in the same casket that she just dug up. We get back to the assassins and see that Penguin captured them. He's talking to them about how he'll pay double their price for them to leave Gotham. Slade escapes and takes down Penguin, but then Batman shows up and starts beating everyone until Slade takes Penguin as a hostage and slits his throat. Just straight up like slits his throat. Poor Penguin, he's had a rough time. He got shot in the eye by Red Hood, and now Deathstroke slits his throat. Poor Penguin, he's just not having a good time lately. But anyways, Deathstroke doing that causes Batman to put his entire focus on saving Penguin's life, thus letting the assassins get away. And they also grab Cheshire out of Batman's car, since after she got hit by the semi-truck, he put her in the back of his car. But as Penguin lies there bleeding out, he says to Batman, quote, "4 of us, me, Riddler, Joker, Catwoman, the Underworld united, we did this years ago. It's a shell game to beat you. The false targets, they're going to die, but they are only there to keep you busy, to keep you from stopping him from reaching the real goal, the perfect crime. The designer is real. He's in Gotham City. He has one true target, Bruce Wayne." And end quote. Then we go back to Catwoman. She's still getting buried alive, but then Harley shows up and saves her. Enter issue 89. Harley tells Catwoman that the Joker in the casket isn't really him, but that Joker is working on something new for Batman and has been leaving dead clowns all up and down the coast for Batman to find. Harley says that she's back in Gotham to kill the Joker. Merlin and Cheshire show up to kill Catwoman, but Harley helps her defeat them. Now, this part's kind of dumb in my opinion, because I feel like Merlin and Cheshire are much more skilled than Catwoman and Harley. I guess, granted, that Cheshire just got hit by a semi-truck, so maybe that's why they're saying they were able to beat them, because I kind of beat them really easily. But otherwise, if these two were both at 100%, Merlin and Cheshire, in my opinion, would absolutely decimate Harley and Catwoman. But I guess it makes sense because Cheshire was just hit by a semi-truck not that long ago. But, you know, it's comic book, so it's weird because sometimes people recover from things super quickly, but I guess Cheshire didn't. Anyways, after that, we see Batman stops Gunsmith, and then later he goes to Mr. Teeth to stop him, but Mr. Teeth was on his way to kill the Riddler. Batman stops him, but realizes that Riddler isn't even there because Mr. Teeth went to Riddler's hideout, and when he gets there, he's not. Riddler's gone. He checks Riddler's computer and sees on his security cam that the designer got him. Here we get our first look at the designer. He looks pretty cool. I like it. It's kind of like a sort of military / hunter, extravagant, very looking dude. I kind of like it. I think his design's pretty cool. But that's our first look at the designer. Back to Harley and Catwoman. They go after Riddler, but end up running into Batman because they get there after he got there and stopped Mr. Teeth. And Batman pulls Catwoman aside and says they need to talk. Catwoman says the name of the guy is the designer, and years ago, all the biggest bads in Gotham made a deal with him. Then the issue ends with Joker looking at a board that has the Bat family and their secret identities up on it. So you've got Red Hood, Jason Todd, you know, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, stuff like that. In issue 90, Selina explains what happened with the designer all those years ago. She said one day she got an invitation from him not long after the beginning of most of Gotham's supervillains' careers. She said the designer was an urban myth among criminals, a guy that was thought to have known how to pull off virtually any crime, but no one actually knew if he existed or not. The designer invited Catwoman, Joker, Penguin, and Riddler to a place called the Tartarus House. There, they meet the designer, and he explains that he has invited them there to help them. He says that he has been watching them fail time and again against Batman, and he thinks his expertise could help them. He explains how years ago he used to fight a great detective that kept beating him. It is implied that this detective is Zorro, by the way. Like, in the art, you see that it's very clearly Zorro, but the name's never mentioned. He's just like, just this detective. So that also implies that the designer is pretty really old. Anyways, he talks about how he kept losing until he took a year to just sit in a room and design the perfect plan to beat Zoro. He talks about how he needs to sort of evolve past the stage he's at, of essentially him and Zoro say are both at stage 5 in their evolution, and Zoro keeps beating him to the next stage. So he's like, I'm just going to sit in a room, design the perfect plan, also think about where I would be at stage 20. So that way next time I go there, Zoro's at like stage 9 of his evolution or whatever, and I'm at stage 20. And that's sort of his philosophy when it comes to this. It's interesting. It's a little weird because, you know, this is supposed to be, you know, life and not a video game, but that's the way he thinks about things. Anyways, it is interesting. He tells them that he will give them the means to accomplish what they have been failing to do, and in return he just wants half of what they reap when they unleash his designs upon Gotham. And once he receives that, they won't see him again. He'll just disappear. The designer takes each of the supervillains into a room to have a one-on-one with them about their perfect crime and how to evolve them to a superior stage than where they are now. Each time someone came out of that room, they were ecstatic. They had complete belief in the designer's plans and couldn't wait to execute them. But that was until the last person the designer talked to, who was the Joker. Joker went in the room, and they talked for hours and hours until the designer came out yelling to his men to kill them all. The designer says, the Joker showed me what kind of city this is. I saw what it's going to become in time. And then he gets shot in the back of the head by Joker. They burned down the Tartarus house, and that's the end of the flashback. Selina tells Bruce that her design was to steal all of the wealth and assets from the Wayne family, and that the designer is going to do that now if he really is back. And that's the end of issue 90. It was basically just Selina recapping what happened. Issue 91 opens up with Joker recapping what Selina just recapped for us in the previous issue. Joker has basically this bartender hostage and starts talking to him and tells him, once upon a time, 4 crooks walked into a haunted house to have dinner with the devil. The devil was pleased with each of them for the mighty sins they had committed, and he wanted to give them each a boon. And so the devil sat down with them one by one and asked them what they wanted more than anything in the world. The first crook was a fat old bird, and he said that he wanted to be king, for all to follow his command. And so the devil gave him the numbers of the finest killers in the land, so that he could take down the nation's rulers and install ones who would be loyal to him. The second crook was a mad crooked man, who said he wanted to be the wisest man in all the kingdom. So the devil gave him a crooked game to play with the greatest scholars in the kingdom, which would kill each of them in turn until he was the only wise man left. The third crook was a thieving cat, and she wanted to be the richest person in the kingdom, and so he gave her the keys to the vaults of all the richest men in the city, so she could rob them all blind, so she'd have all the diamonds to herself. And the fourth crook was a jester, and see, he'd been laughing all this time, because he and he alone understood the devil's game. With no wise, powerful, or wealthy men left to stop him, the city wouldn't belong to the 3 crooks at all. It would belong to the devil himself. In time, it was the jester's turn, and the devil asked what he wanted more than anything in the world. And the jester said to him, I want to be the devil. And then he killed him. And that's how the issue opens. It's a great opening. It's Joker again talking to this guy that he's held hostage, essentially recapping things that Catwoman said, except we get a little bit more insight into what Joker said with the designer, because from Catwoman's perspective, Joker walked in there, talked to the designer for a few hours, and then came out, and we have no clue what happened. But there, Joker gives us a bit more perspective on what actually happened. After Joker's sort of opening monologue, we see Batman going after Deathstroke while Catwoman and Harley stay behind in Riddler's old hideout. Catwoman tells Harley that she's going to stop the designer by stealing the money before he can. Batman and Deathstroke have a fight until the designer shows up on a big screen near where they are fighting, where he says Deathstroke's contract is terminated and he can step aside. Deathstroke decides to fight with Batman instead because designer isn't paying him, so him and Batman are now fighting side by side against the designer's goons. Next issue, in issue 92, Riddler then appears on that same big screen, and he set up a sort of maze/crossword puzzle using all of Gotham. So all of Gotham sort of blocked off in a maze. In order to unlock parts of Gotham, you have to solve a crossword puzzle. The only person that can free Gotham by playing the crossword puzzle is Batman. This crossword puzzle specifically for Batman, no one else can provide an answer. Deathstroke and Batman fight some zombies sent out by the designer, and then I think Batman handcuffs Deathstroke. It's weird, because one panel Deathstroke is fighting side by side with Batman, and then the next he's handcuffed, with us never seeing when or how that happened. Batman recognizes where Riddler is broadcasting from, so he goes there and takes out Riddler and then tranquilizes Deathstroke. Harley and Catwoman make their way to the bank of this, like, well, not the bank, but this bank of the underworld, where it's basically a bank for criminals. So, you have a bunch of illegal money, you need to, like, get it into account somehow. There you go, you got this underworld bank. But while they're there, they run into Punchline. Punchline is Joker's new girlfriend. She's, like, a huge new character now. She first appeared in issue 89 with a cameo, like, one panel, and that issue, like, skyrocketed. Like, on the first day count, it was like $20, because everyone's like, oh, that's the new Harley Quinn, that's her first appearance, oh my gosh. So there's a lot of speculators been buying that book. Anyways, Harley and Punchline fight, and while that happens, Catwoman goes to the back of the place with the guy that runs that underground bank, and she tries to sort of set up a way to get Bruce Wayne's money into her account. Then we go back to Bruce. We see that Bruce gets another message from the designer showing that he is at Bruce Wayne's office at Wayne Enterprises, and that's where that issue ends. Issue 93 opens up with Batman and the designer having a sword fight while they talk about the original designs for the villains that were brought to the Tartarus house all those years ago. Penguin would hire 5 assassins that would kill the mayor, the deputy mayor, the public advocate, the city comptroller, and the majority leader of the city council. They would kill all of them simultaneously. This would put the figures planted by Penguin in power overnight, which would effectively make it to where Penguin owns basically all of Gotham. Riddler would do his puzzle, which no one could really solve, and the real answer was just letting the Riddler win. The cops that agree to work for him are allowed to pass and save the city. Then they would kill Commissioner Gordon and appoint a Riddler loyalist as a new commissioner. From the public's point of view, it looks like this new commissioner saved the city from the Riddler, so they all accept him, and now the Riddler actually has complete control of the GCPD. Catwoman would hack her way into Bruce Wayne's accounts. She learned that the Wayne Foundation is funded by offshore accounts. With the account numbers, she would be able to drain their full assets and do whatever she wanted with them. And the Joker would kill Batman and Robin. The designer's final act is establishing the greatest criminal empire of the next generation, thus securing his legacy and bringing his story to an end. Now, it may be like, oh wow, what a great plan, kill Batman and Robin. Yeah, no one's tried that before. You see, the difference here was this was supposed to be super early on in their careers. From what they talk about in the book, they say Batman and Robin had barely fought anything more than mobsters at this point. So that's why the plan of, oh, kill Batman and Robin was a bit easier at this point, or perceived to be, because, oh, they've just been facing mobsters. They couldn't take on, actual people that knew what they were doing. Because at that part when I was reading, I was like, well, just kill Batman and Robin. Everyone's tried that. How's this master designer? Oh yeah, Joker, just go kill those two guys. No one's tried that before. No, it's implied that, hey, this was really early on in their careers. They had just been fighting mobsters, so that's why. So there is that thrown in there. Anyways, Batman talks about how the designer thought Joker was just your average serial killer, but when talking to him during their one-on-one, Joker said he wouldn't kill Batman. He wanted to kill everyone but Batman. This wouldn't work for the designer's plans. He needed Batman out of the way. But right after this conversation, Batman beats the designer, unmasks him. We see that it's just a corpse, and then Joker starts talking from that corpse, and it's revealed that the designer's been dead ever since Joker shot him in the head all those years ago, and Joker is actually behind all of this. Batman asks him why do all of this. Joker tells him that this wasn't about breaking Batman, it was about breaking her being Catwoman, while getting everything he needed to break Batman. Joker then tells Deathstroke it's his time to act, so Deathstroke wakes up and stabs Batman in the leg, immobilizing him so he can't go help Catwoman. Joker tells Deathstroke he will get his payment, but he should leave Gotham. Back to Harley and Catwoman, we see Harley and Punchline having a bit of a scrap until Punchline gets the upper hand and slits Harley's throat and tosses her in the sewer. I know Harley isn't dead, but it's nice to see Harley lose for once, because even though Harley originally was never really a great fighter, for some reason, as of late, the more popular she's just gotten more OP, and she just like never loses, it seems. I mean, she took on the Trinity with ease during Heroes in Crisis, so it's nice to see her actually lose for once. But back to Catwoman. Catwoman is working with the Underbroker, who's the guy in charge of this bank for criminals. They're trying to steal Bruce Wayne's money. She gives him all the info for the different offshore accounts to get the money transferred from those accounts to her accounts. But then Punchline shoots her and they transfer the money to Joker's accounts. We don't know, it's not really implied that Catwoman's dead. We just see bang, and then she kind of like falls over. It doesn't really seem like she's dead or anything. It just seems like, just more torture for her, I'm assuming. The issue ends with Joker being told that he is now worth over $100 billion as he laughs hysterically. And that's the end. That's all caught up as of right now on what's going on with Batman. So Batman issue 94 comes out soon. That starts out the Joker War, which is going to be a huge event and is going to have a billion different crossover and spin-off things. I would recommend don't read any of those. Just read the main Batman story, because we need enough with these storylines having 16 billion spin-off books. Like, just the main story, please. But anyways, my personal opinion on this, I've been really enjoying it. I think Tynion's done a great job. One of my favorite things about this book while reading it is the pacing. It's remarkably consistent. There's not really any boring moments in here, especially because, like, Tom King's run was very inconsistent. The pacing was very weird, and there were some great moments, and then there were some terrible moments, and this has been really consistent so far, which I'm really enjoying. And I do like his Batman a lot. My only problem for, like, the first part of it was it seemed like Batman kind of kept winning, but then at the end it kind of tied everything together, because it was weird, because Batman kind of just solved everything and did, you know, because he's Batman, he kind of just kept winning at every step. Like, when Penguin tells him, oh, you know, these guys that the assassins are going after are going to die, there's nothing you do, and then Batman goes and stops every single assassin. I mean, granted, 2 of them were stopped by Catwoman and Harley, but still, Batman goes and stops them all. But then in the end, it seems like that was kind of part of the plan, and that they weren't actually trying to kill those guys, they were just a distraction so Joker could get this done. And I will say, you know, I'm a huge Deathstroke fan. He's my second favorite comic book character behind Superman. Tynion actually does better than most people writing Deathstroke. There is some nuance to him. His back and forth with Batman in this is really nice. I'm not sure about the outcomes of their fights, because Batman beats him each time, but I don't know if that was a part of the plan or if Deathstroke was actually trying to beat him, because if Deathstroke was, that's stupid, I'm sorry, but I'm very much in the camp of, if Batman and Deathstroke are in a one-on-one fight, Batman does not stand a chance at all, because Deathstroke is literally better than him in every way. That's just the facts. Like, he's stronger, he's faster, he's equally as good of a fighter, and and he's a better, it shows that his prep is just as good, if not better. We've seen that, like, the plans that Deathstroke can come up with. So it doesn't really make sense for Batman to just beat the crap, a normal guy to beat the crap out of Deathstroke. That's also sort of undermining one of the core aspects of Batman, which is the fact that he is a normal guy. For him to beat someone that is better than him in every way, it doesn't really make sense to me. So that part was kind of stupid, but at the same time, again, I think it was all part of the plan. At least that's how I'm going to read it in my brain, is it was all part of the plan for Deathstroke to lose, because in the end, it looks like Deathstroke's trained, but then he comes out and just stabs Batman. So anyways, that's my thoughts on the Deathstroke part of it. I thought Deathstroke was written pretty well for the most part, better than he's been treated in most things lately. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this. I hope Joker War is good. I'm excited. If you have read this, please let me know in the comments below what you guys think about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want more videos like this. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.